capitalism, right? The evil, nasty word of capitalism. As you all know, I do teach in the evil, nasty business building over there, full of capitalists and anarchists, by the way. If you all have a chance to take a course with Walter Block, if you haven't already, I highly recommend it. He is, in fact, an anarchist. So we're trying to support ourselves through art, right? I mean, that's why you're here, I would think. Whether you want to do it with your music or if you want to help other artists to get their music out there more, we all have this goal, this vision, that we're going to live our lives on our terms, making the art that we want to make. And if we make money along the way, great. But so many artists, especially the artists that I worked with, all they wanted to do was, I want to quit my day job so I can make music. Does that sound familiar to anyone? Well, in order to do that, we need an economy that has some growth in it, right? So that people can go out and buy stuff. And of course, there's more and more things that people are buying now than ever before, and we want it to be our music or our videos or what have you. The good news is that more and more people are sustaining themselves via their art than ever before. The media is full of distressing stories in general, right? You don't open the paper and hear anything good ever. So some of us don't open the paper, which isn't good either. But you know, that the misery and Schadenfreude and all that stuff sells papers, and certainly the Schadenfreude that's going on. And Schadenfreude is a German word which means taking pleasure in other people's misfortune. And there's actually a German word for, it's one word, one really long word that means the troops have become cognizant that the leaders have lost their way and they have begun to abandon. There's a German word that means, I don't know what it is, but I know it's like 20 syllables long. Anyway, so if you open the paper today, it's all about how the music industry is dying and blah, 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 blah. And the reality is, A, that's not true. And secondarily, there are more and more people that are actually doing music on their terms than ever before. And the wealthier an economy grows, the more people can do this, right? Without the kind of patron system that we begin to see. All right, and I bring these examples up because all these people that we think of completely as artists, right? T.S. Eliot, are we still in April? Right, so you guys probably had to read at some point in your lives The Wasteland, April's the Cruelest Month, and all that stuff. You know, greatest American poet probably. James Joyce, maybe the greatest writer ever, and Faulkner, the second greatest writer ever, right? All these people were supporting their art by non-traditional, non-artistic means. One of my favorite stories is William Faulkner was the postman in Oxford, Mississippi, and he actually was in charge of sorting the mail. And if any of you have read Faulkner, you know what a bad idea that was. And in point of fact, the mail would come in and Faulkner would look at it and determine whether or not he thought it merited being put into your box. So you know, William Faulkner to say, what is this? So, you know, we've all had to work at Starbucks, right? In point of fact, Faulkner worked at Starbucks. And the goal is to get out of that. So financial security allows us to start rejecting societal values. And that's really the rub. While you're enslaved at Starbucks or whatever, you're kind of questioning, do I have to make music that is going to sell so I can not work at Starbucks? And that's a problem, right? Because right there, you're kind of tainting your own creative impulse, and you're starting to think, well, I'm not going to do exactly what I want to do because I got to sell this stuff, and so you immediately dilute your work. And people like Faulkner and Joyce and Eliot, they said no, we're going to keep doing it, and either during their lifetime or shortly thereafter, you know, Faulkner won the Nobel Prize, they began to gain acceptance. What we want is enough money to say, I don't care what society's values are. These are my values. This is my music, and I'll make the music that we want. And interestingly, when you do that, you start to be able to create on your own terms. This is not to say that people aren't driven by wealth. We get a lot of people that move into the music business and other business because they want to make a lot of money. Sometimes they happen to make great art. Charlie Chaplin is you know, a great example of that. He came right out and said it. I just want to make a lot of money. This is the easiest path I think I can do. And he happened to make great art along the way. You know, there are some examples of that, not a lot. Another way is when you make a lot of money, you can start to measure how effectively you get your message out there. This is dodgy too, you know, and this is all set up to show the kind of delicate balance between the arts and the markets. Does making a lot of money selling your music mean that you're making good music? You know, probably not, right? I mean, you should have deep skepticism about the people that are making a lot of money with their music. You know, if we're following these trends, you guys have all had the experience of a band that you loved and now everyone loves, and you don't love them anymore, right? Modest Mouse, Bright Eyes, all these bands, they're now making a lot of money. They're getting their message out, and the question is, are they still doing it on their own terms? I would say that Bright Eyes and Modest Mouse probably are. There's some that aren't. So